Humanity has faced many plagues. Some erased entire cities from the map. Others rewrote history in blood and fever. But none of them compare to the one devouring us now. Because this one doesn't consume flesh, it consumes thought. It began quietly, no alarms, no visible wounds, only a subtle fatigue in the collective mind, the slow corrosion of clarity, the soft anesthetic of convenience, a virus without a name, but with symptoms everywhere you look. Look at the trains in the morning. Every face bent toward a screen, 1,000 fingers moving in perfect synchrony, scrolling through the same river of noise, each convinced they are choosing what they see. But nothing is being chosen anymore. It is the algorithm that thinks. It is the system that decides. And what it feeds us is not knowledge, but sedation. The infection doesn't come from the outside. It was cultivated inside the very architecture of our civilization. Grown in the laboratories of comfort, marketed through the illusion of freedom, and injected daily through glowing glass. It spreads through our need to belong, our terror of silence, our hunger for certainty. Stupidity, once an occasional flaw, has become a collective condition, a silent pandemic dressed as normal life. People no longer think, they react. They no longer question, they replicate. And in this endless cycle of imitation, the mind itself begins to rot. Nietzsche saw it coming, a time when man would rather believe in anything than endure the pain of not knowing. That time is no longer prophecy, it is present tense, it is everywhere. The terrifying truth is this: the infected don't know they're infected. They feel enlightened, they feel awake. They call their obedience authenticity, their confusion honesty, their numbness peace. This is how civilizations collapse, not with explosions, but with applause for their own decay. And if you think you've escaped the contagion, pause for a moment and ask yourself, when was the last time you truly thought and not just repeated? Every virus needs a weakness to exploit. This one found the most fragile organ in modern civilization, the human will. Not the will to live, the will to think. It spreads through something deceptively gentle, comfort, the promise that nothing difficult is ever necessary again. No need to read the entire book. There's a summary. No need to wrestle with complexity. There's a video. No need to endure silence. There's sound on demand. Every second filled, every doubt medicated, every discomfort removed. We used to believe ignorance was cured by access to information. We were wrong. The new ignorance is not a lack of access. It's the refusal to face what information demands. We have more data than any generation before us and less understanding than ever. Because understanding hurts. It requires effort, friction, and time. Three things the modern mind has learned to fear. The virus thrives in that fear. It whispers that truth is too complicated, that thinking too much ruins your peace, that the wise are arrogant and the shallow are free. And people desperate to feel safe choose illusion over clarity, comfort over truth. Scroll for 5 minutes and you'll see the pattern. Emotion replaces evidence. Certainty replaces curiosity. Performance replaces reality. Every headline becomes a miniature moral battlefield where no one seeks to understand, only to react. Each reaction releases a spark of dopamine, and the system learns what keeps you obedient. Not facts, but stimulation. Algorithms do not serve knowledge, they serve attention. And attention thrives on outrage. Every swipe, every click, every furious comment is not you expressing your individuality. It's the virus replicating, using your emotions as its host. Rage becomes identity. Distraction becomes purpose. Noise becomes culture. Bonhoeffer warned that stupidity is a greater enemy of good than malice. He understood what we are only beginning to see. Evil has limits. Stupidity has none. It spreads faster because it feels righteous. It multiplies because it flatters the ego. And it survives because it demands nothing but your passivity. The tragedy is that the infection doesn't destroy intelligence. It paralyzes it. It convinces the intelligent man that thinking deeply is useless, that silence is weakness, that solitude is failure. It turns awareness into exhaustion and transforms self-reflection into guilt. Until the mind, tired of fighting, chooses sedation over consciousness and calls it peace. This is how the virus wins, not by force, but by persuasion, not by censorship, but by noise. And the more we escape discomfort, the sicker we become. It takes 48 hours. That's all the virus needs to take control of a mind. It begins with a headline, 10 words, maybe fewer, crafted not to inform, but to provoke. A tiny needle of outrage injected straight into the nervous system. The pulse quickens, the eyes dilate. The chemical storm begins. The reader doesn't pause, doesn't verify, doesn't even finish the article. Why would they? The title already gave them what they came for, the illusion of understanding. A rush of moral certainty without a single ounce of effort. Within minutes, outrage becomes energy. Energy becomes expression. Expression becomes identity. A comment is posted, righteous and absolute. It feels good, intoxicatingly good, because the brain rewards moral simplicity like a drug. The system registers the reaction. The algorithm smiles. It feeds you more of the same flavor: anger, fear, indignation. Each click, another dose. Each share, another transmission. And soon, what began as one emotional impulse becomes a self-replicating chain reaction of collective hysteria. Within 48 hours, millions have inhaled the same narrative, spoken the same sentences, and built entire moral universes out of fragments they never examined. They believe they are participating in a movement. In truth, they are nodes in a network of manipulation. No one needs to lie anymore. Lies require work. The virus evolved past that. Now it thrives on a mission: the quiet deletion of context, the surgical removal of complexity. The story isn't false, it's incomplete, which is infinitely more dangerous, because an incomplete truth feels real enough to stop the search for the full one. Watch the pattern repeat. A headline is born, a crowd reacts, an opinion crystallizes, a new identity forms around it, and by the time facts arrive, the infection is irreversible. People don't want truth. They want confirmation. They want the security of being right, even if it means living inside a lie. Nietzsche warned that convictions are prisons. He was describing exactly this moment, a world where humans lock themselves inside certainties they never built and decorate their cages with slogans about freedom. That's how minds are hijacked, not through violence, but through convenience, not by force, but by seduction. A civilization hypnotized by the comfort of being sure. There was a time when the fool was obvious. He stood on the margins, mocked by the crowd, shouting empty certainties into the void. Today he wears a tailored suit, speaks with perfect confidence, and is rewarded with applause. The age of the charlatan has arrived, and in this age, appearance has replaced essence. Competence is no longer measured by knowledge, but by the ability to look like you know. The performance of intelligence has become more profitable than intelligence itself. Platforms have democratized the voice, but not the wisdom required to use it. Anyone with a device and conviction can present themselves as an oracle. They master tone, posture, rhythm. They know how to perform certainty, and in a world allergic to doubt, certainty sells. A man who hesitates is ignored. A woman who admits ignorance is silenced, but the one who speaks loudly, without nuance, without hesitation, he becomes a prophet. Even when he's wrong, he's rewarded for sounding right. This is not an accident. It's design. A digital ecosystem that converts outrage into currency, confidence into credibility, and simplicity into salvation. The more theatrical the claim, the larger the audience. The larger the audience, the higher the value. And truth, that slow, inconvenient guest, is left standing outside the door. Every day, millions bow to these new priests of the feed. They preach in pixels and hashtags, promising meaning in exchange for submission. Their sermons are not meant to awaken, but to sedate. They sell dopamine, not discernment, belonging, not enlightenment. And each time we listen, we trade another fragment of autonomy for the illusion of clarity. The tragedy is not their existence. Charlatans have always existed. The tragedy is that we celebrate them. We have transformed them into cultural icons, mentors, saviors, influencers. Ignorance, dressed in eloquence, has become the face of wisdom. The market has spoken. Truth is not what's verified, it's what's viral. This is the charlatan's advantage. He never questions himself. He never trembles before complexity. He never feels the sacred weight of being wrong. And the crowd, infected by the same virus, finds comfort in his confidence, because deep down they crave someone who speaks with the certainty they secretly lost. In a world where thinking is punished and performing is rewarded, the intelligent man retreats into silence, and the fool takes the stage. Every epidemic reaches a moment when the disease stops hiding. When the infected no longer feel shame, they feel pride. That moment has arrived. Stupidity is no longer a flaw to be corrected. It's a flag to be raised. Ignorance has been rebranded as authenticity. The inability to think has become a performance of courage, proof that one belongs to the tribe. It begins subtly. A man admits almost proudly that he hasn't read the article he's furious about. A woman declares that she trusts her gut over the collective knowledge of science. Crowds repeat slogans they don't understand and call it independent thinking. What they truly seek is not truth, but validation. Bonhoeffer saw it with terrifying clarity. Against stupidity, even the gods contend in vain. Because once the fool believes his ignorance is virtue, he becomes untouchable. Reason slides off him like rain on glass. Evidence feels like insult. Correction sounds like persecution. He is no longer wrong. He is righteous. This is the final mutation of the virus. When being uninformed becomes a moral identity, it is no longer enough to be wrong. One must be proudly wrong. To doubt becomes betrayal. To question becomes arrogance. To think becomes heresy. Inside the herd, certainty is sacred. Everyone agrees automatically. Everyone mirrors the same emotions, shares the same outrage, chants the same sentences. And when the outside world contradicts them, they don't reconsider, they fortify. Opposition becomes proof of conspiracy. Disagreement becomes violence. Every contradiction is recycled as validation. The walls of the tribe grow thicker, the echo louder, the thought smaller. This is no longer mere stupidity. It's faith, faith in the self-created God of ignorance. A religion with no scripture but opinion, no prayer but outrage, no heaven but belonging. Civilizations do not fall when they lose wars or money. They fall when they lose the ability to tell the difference between wisdom and noise. When the fool is crowned wise and the thinker is burned for arrogance, the collapse is no longer coming. It's already here. And perhaps the cruelest irony of all is that the infected call this collapse freedom. In every era, the thinkers were outnumbered, but never before have they been so despised. Today, the heretic is not the one who defies God, but the one who dares to defy the algorithm. To think independently is no longer an act of courage, it's an act of rebellion. And rebellion, in an age of obedience, is the new blasphemy. The modern heretic doesn't burn at the stake. He burns silently, in the isolation of being the only one who still asks why. He loses followers instead of blood. He's crucified in comment sections, exiled from the digital temple for refusing to kneel before the idols of opinion. Society no longer fears ignorance, it fears awareness. Because awareness demands responsibility, and nothing terrifies the herd more than the burden of seeing too much. To think critically is to walk alone through a landscape of noise. It means carrying the unbearable weight of nuance, the guilt of seeing both sides, the shame of admitting you don't know. The crowd calls that weakness, but it's the beginning of sanity. Schopenhauer once wrote that the more limited a mind is, the less capable it is of seeing its own limits. That's why the ignorant are so confident and the wise so hesitant. Ignorance is armor. Wisdom is exposure. To be intelligent in an age of hysteria is to live perpetually wounded, because every truth you speak is treated as an attack. The world does not reward those who think. It rewards those who echo. And so the philosopher becomes a stranger, the skeptic a traitor, the contemplative a threat. Every question is interpreted as defiance, every doubt as disloyalty. And slowly, the few who still think learn to keep their thoughts hidden, not out of fear of being wrong, but out of exhaustion from being alone. This is the new Inquisition. It doesn't burn books, it burns attention. It drowns truth beneath endless noise until no one remembers it was ever there. And in that sea of distraction, clarity becomes subversion. But even as the masses chant their certainties, a few remain in silence, those who still sense that thinking, no matter how painful, is the last sacred act left. The world calls them mad. History will call them awake. Every cure begins with withdrawal, not from a substance, but from the noise. The first step is brutal: to stop feeding the infection. Turn off the screen. Let the silence roar. Most people can't last 5 minutes. Their hands tremble, minds itch, hearts panic at the absence of stimulus. That panic is the withdrawal symptom of a mind addicted to distraction. Silence has become unbearable because it exposes the truth we've been avoiding, that most of our thoughts are not our own. They are echoes of other people's fears, advertisers' desires, and algorithms' calculations. Without the noise, we meet ourselves, and the meeting is not always pleasant. But that is precisely where healing begins. Schopenhauer wrote that solitude gives the intelligent man 2 blessings: to be with himself and to be free from others. To sit in absolute stillness is to reclaim the right to exist without performing. It's to strip away the borrowed identities until something real remains. Radical silence is not passive, it is resistance. It is the refusal to let the virus use your attention as its host. It is a deliberate act of rebellion in a world that monetizes your every glance. To be silent is to become unpredictable again, to step outside the map the system drew for you. In silence, the mind begins to heal. At first it screams, then it whispers, then finally it listens. It rediscovers the long-lost muscles of focus, patience, and observation. It learns to think without interruption, to feel without broadcasting, to exist without applause. Sit for 30 minutes each day in that void. Watch your own thoughts arise like strangers. Ask, who taught me to think this way? Whose voice is this in my head? The answers will sting, but the pain is sacred. It means the anesthesia is wearing off. The noise was never harmless. It was the infection's camouflage. And silence, terrifying as it feels, is the first dose of antidote. Silence cleanses the noise, but doubt purifies the mind. Once the world becomes quiet, you begin to hear the whisper beneath it, the quiet hum of conviction. The beliefs you never questioned, the opinions you inherited, the truths you accepted simply because everyone else did. This is where the real battle begins. Most people never reach this stage. They stop at comfort, mistaking calm for clarity. But real clarity is cruel at first. It asks questions that undo you. It demands evidence for everything, especially for what you hold most sacred. Ask yourself, why do I believe this? Who taught me to think this way? What evidence supports it and what contradicts it? Would I still believe it if no one agreed with me? Would I still defend it if it cost me everything? These are not intellectual games. They are exorcisms. Each honest answer kills a piece of the virus. Each admission of ignorance tears down another wall of illusion. And soon you discover that the deepest prisons were never physical. They were the thoughts you refused to examine. Truth, by its nature, is not democratic. It does not bend to majority rule. It doesn't evolve with public opinion. It does not care how many followers you have or how loudly you shout. It remains indifferent and eternal, waiting for the few willing to stand alone beside it. Millions can believe in a lie and make it profitable, popular, and sacred, but it will never make it true. Reality does not negotiate. It doesn't comfort. It reveals. And revelation always costs something. Sometimes it costs everything. The path back to sanity is paved with humiliation and loss. You will lose certainty. You will lose belonging. You will lose the comfort of being right. But in that stripping away, you will recover the only thing that matters: authentic sight. Nietzsche said that those who were seen dancing were thought insane by those who could not hear the music. To doubt what everyone else calls truth is to begin hearing that distant rhythm again. It is to reclaim your mind from the choir of the infected. It is to remember that truth has never needed a crowd, only courage. The cure was never easy. It was never meant to be. Because thinking hurts. It tears apart illusions we spent entire lives building. It demands the death of comfort and the rebirth of consciousness. Return for a moment to the subway where it all began. The same faces, the same screens, the same glow. The hum of electricity, the rhythm of fingers scrolling. But something has changed. Not them, you. You can finally see it. The trance. The quiet surrender disguised as routine. The hypnosis we call normal life. You notice the silence beneath the noise, a silence that was always there, waiting behind the glass and pixels. And in that silence you understand that the infection was never in the world. It was in the mind that refused to stop consuming it. The virus cannot survive awareness. It starves the moment you begin to question. It dissolves each time you choose effort over ease, truth over pleasure, solitude over imitation. Every moment of attention reclaimed is a fragment of the soul restored. The herd will not understand you. They will call you cold, distant, arrogant, but you will know. This distance is not pride. It's freedom. It's what it feels like to breathe unfiltered air in a world addicted to smoke. Thinking for yourself will not make you happy. It will make you real. And reality, though merciless, is sacred. It's the only ground where anything true can grow again. So ask yourself, right now before this video ends, will you go back to sleep or will you endure the pain of waking up? Will you remain a host of the virus or reclaim your mind from the swarm? The cure is brutal, but it's waiting. It begins with silence, it continues with doubt, and it ends with freedom. If these words unsettled you, good. It means you are still alive. And if you are ready to begin the painful work of thinking again, then leave your mark below. Write, "I choose to think." Subscribe. Not to follow, but to remember. Because every day, the world forgets a little more what thinking truly means.